All right, today we're diving into a true medical mystery, a disease so deceptive it's actually been called the Great Mimicker because it can hide in plain sight for years, sometimes with absolutely tragic consequences. It really sounds like a riddle, doesn't it? I mean, liver failure, a movement disorder, and a severe psychiatric break. These are three completely different problems in three totally different parts of the body. But what if I told you they could all be caused by one single culprit? Well, that's the puzzle we're going to solve today. Okay, so these are the clues we're working with. A patient might show up with just one of these or some bizarre combination. I mean, just think about it. How do you connect unexplained liver damage to symptoms that look like Parkinson's? Or a strange golden ring in someone's eyes to a condition where their red blood cells are literally self-destructing? On the surface, they seem totally random, right? But believe it or not, they all point to one single hidden diagnosis. So it's time to unmask our suspect. And you might be surprised to learn that the single element behind all this chaos is copper. Well, more specifically, it's the body's complete inability to handle it properly. This condition has a name, Wilson disease. At its core, it's a genetic disorder, all thanks to one faulty gene called ATP7B. And get this single little mutation basically breaks the body's entire copper processing system, leading to this slow, toxic buildup of metal that can damage organs all over the body. The best way to think about it is like a seriously backed up plumbing system in your body. See, the protein made by that gene has two critical jobs. It has to package copper safely into a carrier molecule, and it has to flush any excess out of the body. So when that protein is broken, you get this double whammy of a failure. The copper literally has nowhere to go. It just builds up and up in the liver until it spills over into the bloodstream, and from there it can deposit anywhere. And that right there, that systemic buildup, is precisely why Wilson disease is such a master of disguise. Because depending on where all that toxic copper decides to settle, the symptoms can look completely different from one person to the next. So, the disease basically wears two main costumes. In kids and teens, you're probably going to see it show up as liver disease, and it can mimic anything from mild hepatitis to catastrophic, full-blown liver failure. But then in young adults, it flips the script. It's much more likely to show up with neurological symptoms. You could have someone in their early 20s who suddenly develops slurred speech and movement problems that look shockingly like Parkinson's disease. And, one of the most unique and kind of telling neurological clues is what's called the wing beating tremor. Yeah, it's not subtle at all. As this quote puts it so well, it's this awkward flapping motion you see when the patient holds their arms out. It's just this incredibly specific sign that basically screams copper is messing with the brain. But wait, the trail of clues doesn't stop there. Not even close. An eye doctor might be the one to spot these golden brown rings in the cornea. That's a dead giveaway for copper deposits. And here's a wild one. Sometimes the very first symptom is psychiatric, mimicking depression or psychosis for years before anyone figures it out. It can even damage the kidneys. The main takeaway here, this thing can pop up almost anywhere. Okay, so with a culprit this good at hiding, how in the world do you actually crack the case? Well, it takes a really systematic investigation, piecing all the evidence together until that disguise just falls apart. The whole investigation really kicks off with a sharp doctor. They see a young person with these weird liver or brain symptoms and they think, could this be Wilson's? From there, they start gathering the evidence. Specific blood and urine tests looking for that copper signature, a critical eye exam for those telltale rings, and if they still need it, a liver biopsy or a genetic test for the final definitive proof. The initial lab work, that's where you find some of the strongest evidence. This chart lays out the classic pattern you're looking for. First off, that copper-carrying protein, ceruloplasmin, it's going to be low because the body just can't make it right. Second, the amount of copper being spilled into the urine is going to be high. And third, and this is a big one, in cases of acute liver failure, another liver enzyme, alkaline phosphatase, is weirdly low. That is a huge red flag for Wilson's. But if you really need the smoking gun, the undeniable proof, this is it. A liver biopsy that shows a copper concentration over 250 micrograms per gram. That number is basically diagnostic. It is the hard biochemical proof that the liver is just drowning in copper. And then there's this. In some rare cases, neurologists look at a brain MRI and find the face of the giant panda sign. It's a specific pattern of damage in the midbrain from all that copper, and it looks uncannily like a panda's face. Now, it's not common, but man, if you see it, the case is closed. It's what we call pathognomonic, a sign so specific it can only mean one thing. So, okay, the culprit's been identified, the case is cracked. Now what? Well, the resolution here isn't a one-and-done thing. It's a lifelong commitment to managing the disease. When it comes to controlling the copper, there are two main strategies. First up, you've got chelating agents. Think of these as a little molecular claws that go in, grab onto the excess copper, and help your body flush it out. Then you have zinc salts, which work in a totally different way. They actually block copper from being absorbed from your food in the first place. Which one you use really depends on how severe things are when you get diagnosed. And this really drives home just what a lifelong commitment managing Wilson disease is. Taking medication every single day, absolutely non-negotiable. Patients also have to follow a low-copper diet, so that means avoiding things like shellfish, nuts, and chocolate. Regular checkups are essential. And for the absolute most severe cases, a liver transplant is actually a cure because you're getting a brand new liver that has that working gene. So, the most important thing to remember here is that this incredibly complex disease is totally treatable, but only if you catch it in time. It's just a powerful reminder of why being a good medical detective is so vital. It can literally save a life. And that kind of leaves us with one final big question, doesn't it? What other great mimickers are out there, hiding in plain sight, just waiting for the right detective to crack the case?